This video we'll be talking about two doom metal albums that were just released this weekend. Now before we start to split hairs, let me just be clear that these two albums are not true doom metal albums, but they fall under the umbrella of the subgenre of doom, being a death doom and stoner doom. But for the purpose of the YouTube algorithm and trending keywords, I titled this video two doom metal albums to check out. So the albums I will be talking about are Temple of Void, Summoning the Slayer, and Druids, Shadow Work. I listened to both of these over the weekend. They're both very good albums. I also included chapters in the video. If you prefer to skip ahead to the second review, you can find those in the video description. So let me start with Temple of Void with Summoning the Slayer. Temple of Void is an American death doom band from Detroit, Michigan. They've been around since 2013 and they have released 4 full-length albums. This is their 4th album called Summoning the Slayer. This is a band that's been compared to other bands like Hooded Menace, Asphyx, Paradise Lost. Summoning the Slayer has 7 songs with a runtime of 40 minutes. Songs are fairly long, between 4 and 8 minutes. The lyrics are typical like death metal lyrics, talking about death mostly, some occult topics as well. The album artwork's really good. Looks like what you would get from a death metal album, so the album art actually reminds me of a typical cover of like a Black Dahlia Murder album. It's dark and ominous, uses nice shades of blue and orange and nice dark and evil tone. Now what do you get with this album? You get doom metal, but it's not like funeral doom where it's like slow and it's like not really like boring or tedious. It moves at a decent pace, not too slow, but when it gets slow there are enough sounds and textures that keep it interesting. The vocals are very dark and heavy, but they're used more like an accompaniment to like the other instruments. So the songs can sound very dark and evil at times. They also incorporate elements of like black metal. It's a good album to listen to with headphones. There's like a lot going on in the background, and let me talk about some of the songs. Behind the Eye is one of the songs. It doesn't move that slow. It's pretty cool. It has chunky riffs, nice tempo changes. It goes from slow to like mid-paced. The vocals are very low and guttural, and I think it's a good opening track. Shows off more of the death metal side of the band, kind of as opposed to that like doom metal. If you like distorted palm muted riffs and guitar squeals, this is a good song for you. If you like more atmospheric, slower songs, then Death Touch is a good song. It has like this droning, sustained power chords layered with clean arpeggios and a thick, distorted bass. They add in some up-tempo drum beats here and there, kind of contrasts with the droning guitars. The vocals are used more for like atmospheric effect. And it's not a band where you kind of hear the vocals clearly, like the music does make up for that. You get some like evil and haunting sounds like around the middle of the song and like some like thrashy chugging riffs. Hex, Curse, and Conjuration is one of the shortest songs in the album. It's more of a faster pace, lots of like death metal style riffing, and has like some like doomier like droning guitars. The drums move at a fast beat here. Nice change of pace from the rest of the album, and if you like fast-paced songs, this is pretty good. And the last song on the album is Dissolution, and that one's like very different. Actually reminds me a lot of like Planet Caravan by Black Sabbath, especially those like vocals. It just has like acoustic guitars, the orchestration, lots of atmospheric effects, and this one was good. It was different. It just reminded me of early Black Sabbath. So this was a very good album, especially if you're into the death doom genre. So I'll give this an 8.5 out of 10. Druids is a doom stoner metal band from Pella, Iowa. They've been active since 2008, and this is their 4th full-length studio album called Shadow Work. The album is 49 minutes long and has 8 songs. Most of the songs are between like 6 and 8 minutes long. There are a few shorter ones, and this really makes them stand out from other like stoner metal bands because their songs are kind of shorter as opposed to like those like long drawn out songs. I know like some bands write like 20-30 minute songs, but the album cover is really dark and ominous, has a nice blue tone, like a figure emerging in the background and some hands coming up, and very mysterious album cover. So the band is described as stoner metal, but they draw a lot of influence from some like psychedelic bands. It's mostly like those from the 60s. They remind me a lot of like Iron Butterfly or Blue Cheer. They also take a lot of influence from like grunge bands like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. Maybe like a bit of Nirvana from that like In Utero album, like a lot of like that noise rock. but they mix all of that with like modern doom metal style, and that makes this band very unique. So I'll talk about a few of the songs. The first song is called Aether. Short song under 3 minutes. It introduces the album, has a tribal drum beat, changing vocal styles. Reminds me of that song Voodoo by Godsmack. It's a really good headphone song. You know, they kind of like toggle the left and right channels with the drums. Ida's Cone. It's an 8-minute song. This song can be characterized by a thick bass beat and these Alice in Chains style grungy riffs. They tune down the guitars to get like a thick sound. I also hear like a Mastodon influence as well as some like psychedelic rock. There are some feedback driven riffs, kind of reminding me of like Soundgarden. Good song to listen to when you want to sit back and chill out. Maybe like roll one up and smoke one, you know. They also incorporate some staccato power chords and tribal drums. And that part of the song actually reminded me of like the band Mastodon again, you know. Especially when they use those like harsh vocals that come into the song. Another good song is called Othnian Blood. This one is good because of the complex and technical riffing you can hear in the intro. The song has some slow and heavy and sludgy parts. Again, reminding me of the band Mastodon. More were those harsh and aggressive vocals. The song is somewhat repetitive, but not too much to be boring, but enough to be memorable. They go back and forth between the harsh vocals and the droning vocals. And this is an enjoyable album. You know, and this is, you know, I'm somebody who doesn't really like that, like stoner or doom or funeral doom. But this album is consistent. All the songs were very good. It was slow and heavy. Enough going on in the songs to prevent it from being boring and repetitive. And I'm going to give it a high score. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Let me know in the comments what you thought. And that is all for this double review.